Hi, my name is Glenn Llopis, Executive Director for the Center of Innovation and Humanity. And on January 23rd, 2010, we're delighted to co-host the first annual Innovation and Humanity Summit with Chapman University in Orange, California. Today we are interviewing student leaders from Chapman University to talk about topics that are important to them, topics that they believe have greater relevancy and significance than ever before, especially for their generation. And today we're speaking with student leader Matt O'Leary, and Matt is part of our student consulting group at Chapman University that's helping in the hosting of the summit. So Matt, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks.
I know that when you and I spoke off camera that what's important to you now are resource allocation and the role of natural resources, and I don't think anybody who's listening would argue with you that that's a growing concern for everyone. I mean, we see what's happening now with global warming. We see what's happening with how we're all starting to become more green, to be more cautious about the use of electricity and the conservation of water. But I know that natural resources is something that means a lot to you and in your generation. Tell me a little bit about why that's important to you and what others can learn from you.
It just seems like a problem that we're pushing aside, and we keep pushing aside and coming up for reasons why we shouldn't be combating global warming and why we shouldn't be recycling and doing everything we can. It's important to me because the cloud in the future of the world is just a little cloudy right now. You know, are we also going to be here in a few hundred years? We're certainly not going to be here with all the same resources that we have now, because we're going to have used up a lot of them by then. So I'm just concerned with the direction as a human race that we're going in, if we're not going to right now pretty quickly start combating global warming and combating resource allocation. I mean, it's a big problem.
Now, is this something that you and your friends kind of talk about from time to time, maybe when you're at your local Starbucks or when you go see a movie? I mean, are these the types of issues that your generation actually takes the time to discuss, or this is something that you're concerned and passionate about?
It's not something we discuss on a regular basis, definitely not. But it's not something that's brought up in the news very much at all. It's not a huge thing in the media. So when it is discussed, it's brought up personally by us. It's something that I have a personal interest, but I mean, I don't run around telling everybody about it. It's just not something that comes up in regular conversation, because a lot of people just kind of brush off the idea of global warming. Some people, I've even heard of people who believe that global warming doesn't even exist, which is kind of remarkable to think. And I mean, that's why we need to educate those types of people. We need to educate our children that are coming through schools about what they can do to help the world progress, because we've come so far. We've come so far in hundreds of years. You know, with the Industrial Revolution, we created a whole new technology, and to think where we are, we've come leaps and bounds since then.
Sure.
So we can only, where do we go from here, though?
Sure. Well, let's shift a little bit. I know that a lot of people know that China right now is trying to create an environment where they can self-sustain their own natural resources because they want to become less dependent upon the resources of the world, because they are becoming so scarce, and especially given the size of their population. But let's talk about some practical examples. I mean, when you think about water conservation, is that something that you think of in your everyday to conserve water? Or you mentioned recycling. Is that something that you think about? Do you think that your generation, the Gen Yers, think about, maybe you guys don't talk about it, but do you act upon it in your everyday? Because through my experience, I've seen that you do, that you seem to be inclined to act.
When it comes to the recycling thing, I mean, on this campus, Chapman University, there's more little blue recycling bins than I've ever seen. I really do think that our students and the people that I spend most time around, I mean, they don't really throw plastic in the trash can. Why would you, when you can just throw it in the recycling bin? And I mean, it's not like it makes you feel good, but you're not hurting the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, it's not something we talk about in everyday life, but it's something that, I mean, you know, if my roommate's leaving the house, I expect them to turn off all the lights. There's no reason to keep them on.
Sure,
I
sure,
mean,
sure.
One, it helps the world.
Sure.
And two, it helps our electricity bills. So
Sure, sure,
turn
sure,
off
sure.
those lights.
Sure.
So I think everyone really needs to do just a little bit, a little part, and together everyone can be a piece of the puzzle to, you know, allowing the world to progress and not allowing, you know, the human race to die out because we run out of resources and we have nowhere else to go.
Well, Matt, I couldn't agree with you more, and I think that these are things that more and more people are thinking about and acting on. And I just want to thank you for your time, because I know that, you know, these are subjects that maybe aren't discussed so much in the classroom in terms of how they impact business and or their role in innovation. But I think, as you know, and as we all know, as we watch the news and see the introduction of new products each day, there seems to be more of a resource angle, more of an angle towards recycling, more of an angle towards educating the general public. And, you know, but like we've talked about time and time again, and what the summit will address too, it's not just about educating, it's about acting upon it and making these issues part of our everyday life in how we think, act, and innovate. So I really want to thank you again, because this was a great topic, extraordinarily relevant, and I appreciate your views as a student from Chapman University and that of being a Gen Wire. So thanks again for your time.
Thanks so much, Glenn. I appreciate it.
No, it's been my pleasure, and you did a good job too. So thank you to you. Again, January 23rd, 2010, the first annual Innovation in Humanity Summit. Matt will be there, and so will I, and I look forward to meeting you then. Take care.